Have you ever had an excruciating, painful breakup that you wondered that was so painful if you would ever recover from it? Today we are talking all about the number one thing you should do right after that breakup that will ensure that you show up differently in the next relationship, and also the men that you are attracting. And we are starting right now. For the best dating and relationship advice, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you get notified when new videos drop every week. I think most of us have been through a pretty painful breakup in our lives. It's part of that human experience. I know I sure have. One of my first breakups was in college, and I wish somebody at that moment would have pulled me aside and gave me the information that I'm giving you today. After that breakup, what I needed an evaluation of myself, how I showed up in that relationship, why I showed up that way in that relationship. Why did I attract that guy into my life in the way that I did? Because what it would have done for me is it would have put me on a different dating track, and I wouldn't have made the same mistake again that then cost me 3 years of my life. That first breakup that I had was actually from a guy that I met in my psychology class, my very first semester of college. And I was head over heels for this guy. We had a really good time together. I felt like things were going really well. I was falling in love. And all of a sudden one day, it had been about 6 months that we'd been dating. And now that I think back to that relationship, I can see all the mistakes that I made along the way that led up to this pivotal moment when I'm sitting in my apartment waiting for him to come over. He said he would come over. I'm waiting. I'm thinking it's a regular evening for us together, and he never showed. So eventually I end up calling him, and it's, hey, where are you? And what he says to me is, I'm not going to be coming over tonight. Okay. And then he drops it, and I'm actually probably not going to be coming over ever again. And at first it was like, wait, what? And then it hit, and all the blood drained from my face. And it was, this is you breaking up with me. This is us ending. This is out of nowhere. And for those of you that have been broken up with, it's so much more painful because you don't see it coming. The ones that you do the breaking up, it's painful because you love that person and you don't want to hurt them. But there's like this process that happens for you where you're able to unwind your feelings. So by the time you've actually broken up with that person, you feel like you've already let it go. You've let the relationship go. But for somebody that gets hit by a truck from the side that doesn't see it coming, it lays you flat. And I will never forget that moment when I hung up the phone and I just sat there and I felt tingly all over my body. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to start running. I wanted to hide in the closet. I was trying to think, who can I call? How do I get rid of this pain? I need to get rid of this pain. I need to run from it. I need to do something. But there was nothing to do but sit in it, sit in that moment. And for the rest of that dark, dreary winter semester, I would lay in my bed listening to Sinead O'Connor.
It's been 7 hours and 15 days since you took your love away.
I would drive by his work. I would try and get his friends to talk to me. I was doing everything I could to grasp the straws from the relationship to try and pull it back. And what I didn't know at the time was my mind was just doing what my mind does, and that is to move me away from pain and move me into pleasure. And how it was doing that was trying to relive the romance, relive the love songs, and trying to do whatever I could to get him back, draw him close. And it was the exact opposite thing that I should have been doing in that moment. I should have been doing self-inventory, a self-analysis of myself. why I did the things I did. Why did I show up that way? And taking some time just for me. And this is so much harder to do than people think. It's easy to say, oh, take some time for you. But your mind is screaming at you to move to pleasure, move to something to forget this. But when we move right into pleasure, like I did with my next relationship, within a couple of months, I was already into the next relationship. And the reason for that is because I wanted to move from this pain and move right into pleasure. But what I did is I ended up making the same mistake in the next relationship. I didn't really get clarity about what I wanted and what I was looking for in a person and why I did the things I did in the last relationships. So for you, there's a questionnaire that you need to take after that breakup that will ensure that you show up differently and you attract a different person. And the number one question is, what did that person teach you about you wanted or didn't want in that relationship? About how they made you feel, about how they treated you, about who they were as a person, about the dynamic of the relationship. This is very important to get this clarity, because once we understand what we want, we then know what we're looking for. We've got that clarity moving forward into the next relationship. Number 2 is, what didn't work in that relationship for you that you want something different in the next relationship. Maybe it was a long distance relationship. You know, a lot of us, we think that we can do the long distance thing, but when it really comes down to it, we need him showing up on Friday night to take us out on a date and to hug us and to love us. Or maybe he played too many video games. I have personally experienced that. And now my husband doesn't play video games because I learned and got clarity about what I wanted. And it wasn't a guy that watched football games and played video games all day on Saturday. I knew for me, I needed something different. So what didn't work for you in the last relationship, and what do you want different? Question number 3 is, what behaviors did you do that cooled down the relationship? Sometimes in the moment, we're not really aware that we're leaning in too much, we're making mistakes, we're doing things that is not appealing, not attractive, and it's pushing him away. You know, I really figured that out looking back over that first relationship. There's a lot of things that I didn't know at the time, my own insecurities, or nobody really taught me the social skills in dating to show up in a way that was more attractive, more sexy, in a way that he would want to be with me and stay with me. And so I made a lot of mistakes. So as you are ending a relationship, especially if they've broken up with you, they've all of a sudden ghosted you or dropped off, get really curious about what you might have done in that relationship to cool it off and have him pull away from you. There's so much wisdom in going back and kind of figuring out, what did you do wrong, and then perfecting it. So each relationship, you learn so much about what you want from him and what you are doing in that relationship to either make it a success or a failure. Question number 4 is, why did you do those behaviors? What was it that you were needing in that relationship that you weren't getting? Or what do you need in any relationship that you don't seem to get? It's something that we really just need to give ourselves, that we need to get clear on and work on ourselves before we go into the next relationship, or we will continue to make those same mistakes. Just like for me in that first relationship in college, where I thought I was killing it, and then all of a sudden I get the call, he's not coming over anymore. I was very insecure at that time, and I really leaned in. I tried too hard. I'd made a lot of mistakes in that relationship that cooled it down because I was needing things. And if I would have taken that self-inventory after that relationship to get clear on what I was needing and why I was showing up and the way I was showing up, doing those behaviors, I would have showed up in the next relationship totally different. Question number 5, and this is the most important one and also the hardest, and that is, what are you willing to do to ensure that the next relationship is the one that you want? And the reason why it's so difficult is because your mind, again, is going to want to move you away from pain and into pleasure. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to say, no, I'm going to sit in this moment. I'm going to get clarity about what it is that I've done in the past that has given me the results from my love life that I have had. And that can be very uncomfortable. And your mind is going to throw the kitchen sink at you because it wants to move you into another relationship as quickly as possible. It's going to want to move you into fantasizing and dreaming about the last relationship and listening to all the love songs and stalking him on Facebook. So what are you willing to do to ensure that you get the one you want next? You're going to have to put the time in. And the time means time for yourself. This is a very painful time for you. I get it. I understand. I have been there, and not once, but multiple times. I've also broken up with people. If you're in the place where you've broken up with somebody, that is also very painful. Both require us to do this self-analysis of why we've gotten into the situation we are right now. I want to tell you, though, that when you do the time, here you are right now, you're going to move through it. And on the other side, you're going to be a different person. You're going to be wiser. You're going to be stronger. You're going to have more confidence. That is, if you do the things required to ensure that the next relationship is what you want it to be. So question number 5 is, what are you willing to do to ensure that the next relationship is the one that you want? If you are watching this video in this moment feeling brokenhearted because a 3-month fling or a 20-year marriage has just ended in divorce, leaving you to pick up the pieces of your self-worth and your self-esteem, I want you to know in this moment you have a choice. You can choose to get the clarity you need to ensure that the next relationship is what you want and what you deserve. What you decide to do with your time right now will determine the woman that you are and the men that you will attract in your future. Getting clear on what it is exactly that you want in your next guy. What do you want different? What behaviors did you do in the last relationship that cooled the relationship off? And why did you do those behaviors? What did you need? What did you need from him? Can you fulfill those needs yourself? And lastly, what are you willing to do to ensure that the next relationship is what you want and what you deserve? And if you find that you're needing help in getting this clarity on these crucial questions, as always, I recommend that you go to www.kelliehatch.com to book a call with me so that we can uncover and unpick why it is that you showed up in the way that you did and help you answer these crucial questions to ensure that you get the love that you want and the love that you deserve. So if you like this video, share it with your friends, and in the comments below, leave a comment about what it is that you want in your next relationship and why. As always, remember that you were meant to love and be loved, and you aren't alone in your search for love. So hit the bell, subscribe, so that you know when new videos drop every week.